They told me to step away, so I did, from the family and from the account that kept their lights on. By 3:11 a.m., my phone was shaking off the nightstand. 89 missed calls. Dad's voicemail panicked. What happened? The bank flagged everything I just texted back. I'm honoring your decision. That was before they realized the fund wasn't all I'd been holding together, and before I learned they had an $80,000 plan with my forged signature at the bottom. Stay with me, because this is the night the responsible one finally walked away. 12 hours before the 3:11 a.m. chaos, I was standing over my stove reheating leftover curry when my phone lit up with a group text. Mom, Dad, Megan, Aunt Carol, even Uncle Ray, though he rarely said anything. We've discussed it, and we think it's best if you step away for now. Megan needs space. We all do. No call, no explanation, just pixels. Aunt Carol reacted with a like. This was a dinner reservation, not the moment my family cut me loose. I didn't waste time asking why. I typed, understood. I'll respect that, and step away from the family fund too. The curry bubbled until it went dry while I opened my laptop. Logged into the joint account I'd quietly managed for 5 years, the one that paid Mom's insulin, stopped Dad's overdrafts, kept Megan's car running when her checks got delayed. Auto pays off, transfers canceled, linked cards removed, account closed. I washed my bowl, set it upside down to dry, and silenced my phone. They thought they were cutting me out of the family. What they didn't realize was they'd just cut themselves off from the only thing keeping their world stitched together. It didn't start with a text. It started with a phone call in the middle of a winter night. 5 years ago, my dad called me from a Walgreens parking lot. I could hear the rain hammering the roof of his truck and the fluorescent buzz of the sign overhead. His voice cracked before he even got to the point. They won't admit her without insurance, he said. We're tapped out. She's not going to make it, sweetie. That she was Megan, my younger sister. By the time the call ended, I was staring at my online banking app, watching my savings account drop to zero as I wired the payment for her rehab. She made it through. Everyone called it a miracle. Nobody said the miracle had a receipt with my name on it. No one offered to pay me back. No one even asked how I was doing. That was the first deposit into what would become a 5-year ledger of quiet rescues. A few months later, Mom was diagnosed with diabetes. Dad's hours at the warehouse were cut to part-time. Megan was in and out of stability. Every time she spiraled, there was another call, another quick favor. At first, it was manageable, $300 here for medication, $200 there for overdue utilities. But the asks started coming faster, bigger, and with less hesitation. One day, someone I can't even remember who anymore, floated the idea of an emergency family fund. Just something to help all of us in tough times, they said, like we were equals putting our chips into the pot. I was 27, single, working 80-hour weeks in finance. It made sense. On paper, I could afford it. So I did it, set up a joint account in my name. From that day, I became the treasurer of everyone else's emergencies. Mom's insulin prescriptions covered. Megan's therapy co-pays paid. Dad's late mortgage payments handled before the bank could send a notice. If the phone bill was about to be cut off, I logged in and fixed it. If the car needed repairs so Megan could make her shifts, I wired the money before she even booked the appointment. They gave me the passwords, the account numbers, the balances. Not because they trusted me, but because they didn't want to deal with it. They called me the responsible one. What they really meant was the convenient one. My own life shrank to fit the job. I moved to a smaller apartment, skipped vacations, learned how to make a week's worth of oatmeal stretch across dinners. I told myself it was temporary, that this was what family did. And then came the Christmas incident. Megan wanted new tires. I'd just paid her rent again and told her I couldn't. She went straight to my parents, said I was making her feel judged. That night, my phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Just try to be a little more understanding, Leah. She's in recovery. It didn't sound like a request. It sounded like a correction. Something shifted in me. Not a loud crack, more like the slow splintering of ice under pressure. I didn't fight back. I didn't even reply. Instead, I started keeping records, detailed, meticulous, obsessive. Every payment, every invoice, every overdraft I cleaned up, screenshots of bank balances before and after my transfers, notes about who asked for what and when, not because I planned to use it against them, not yet, but because I needed to see the truth in black and white to prove to myself that the drain was real, that the weight on my shoulders wasn't some story I'd made up. I didn't know when I'd need that proof, but I knew one day I would. Last month, Megan lit the match. It was a lazy Tuesday afternoon. My phone buzzed with a new message in the family group chat, the same thread where they coordinated birthdays, grocery requests, and occasional guilt trips. I opened it to see her message punctuated with a heart emoji at the end. Hey, I know money's tight, but could the fund cover a yoga retreat in Arizona? It's for my mental health. $3,200. I didn't reply, not right away. I wanted to see how the others would respond. Dad came in first, quick as a reflex. Sounds like something you really need. Let's see what we can do. Mom followed with a heart reaction like she was blessing a charity donation. And there it was, the moment it crystallized. The fund wasn't help anymore. It was entitlement. It didn't matter that I created it, funded it, managed it. In their minds, it belonged to them. 2 nights later, during our monthly family call, I decided to test something. When my turn came, I shared the news I'd been promoted to director at the firm. Huge raise, more responsibility, a milestone I'd worked toward for over a decade. Dad cut me off halfway. Sorry, can we circle back to Megan's housing? She's not feeling safe in her current unit. The implication landed like a cold drop of water down my spine. Leah, you're buying your sister a better apartment. I didn't argue. I didn't even sigh. I just said calmly, maybe it's time someone else stepped up. Silence. Not awkward, icy. The kind of silence that carries a verdict. 2 days later, at 7:42 p.m., the text came. We think it's best you step away for now. Followed inevitably by Aunt Carol's smug thumbs up. I read it twice, feeling that same tiny internal click I'd felt on the curry night years earlier. Not a break, a release. They'd given me permission to do what I'd been considering for months, so I did, thoroughly. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, the glow from the screen, catching on the rim of my coffee mug. I logged into the account, the lifeline they never thanked me for, and began dismantling it. Auto pays terminated, transfers canceled, linked cards severed, emergency buffer withdrawn, account closed. When I was done, I closed my laptop, took a slow sip of coffee, and listened to the hum of my refrigerator. Outside, the street lamp clicked on. Somewhere a dog barked. The world kept moving, oblivious to the fact that I'd just taken my hands off the lever that kept their entire lives upright. 36 hours later, the fallout began. The overdraft alerts hit first. Then Mom's pharmacy called to confirm a declined payment. Then came Megan's voicemail, her voice trembling. Why would you do this? You knew I needed that payment. By Saturday night, Dad's voice notes were unraveling into half sentences and jagged breaths. The mortgage bounced. The insurance lapsed. The utilities. What did you do? I scrolled back to my last message in the chat and read it again, just to feel the satisfaction settle in my chest. I'm honoring your decision. They thought that message ended the conversation. They had no idea. The real conversation hadn't even started. By Monday morning, they'd organized what I can only describe as a family tribunal. No invitation, no how are you, just a Zoom link in my inbox with the subject line, family discussion. Urgent. I joined exactly at the scheduled time, camera on mic muted. On screen, Mom in the kitchen, Dad in his recliner, Megan with her hair up like she'd just rolled out of bed. Aunt Carol hovered in the corner frame like she was moderating a presidential debate. Dad didn't waste time. Leah, what the hell is going on? The bank says the account is closed. Your mother's prescriptions didn't go through. Megan's got bills stacking up. You need to fix this. I stayed quiet, letting the words pile in the space between us. Mom jumped in. "We built that fund for emergencies. How dare you just pull the plug?" Her voice cracked on Dare like she genuinely believed I'd committed a moral crime. When I spoke, it was slow, calm. "We didn't build it, Mom. I did, and I kept it running for 5 years without a single thanks, without a single repayment, and without a single question about whether I could afford it." Megan rolled her eyes, then smirked like she was humoring a child. "It's just money, Leah. You've got plenty." And that was the moment, the sentence that flipped the switch. I leaned in, resting my elbows on the desk, and let my voice drop. "You think I'm just a name on paper?" I smiled. I was the paper. The silence that followed was so deep I could hear the faint hum of Dad's ceiling fan. I clicked a few keys and shared my screen years' worth of financial records, neatly sorted into folders: transfers, receipts, overdraft fixes, medical payments, car repairs, rent bailouts. Each folder had subfolders. Each subfolder had timestamps. It was a visual autopsy of their dependency. Aunt Carol shifted uncomfortably. Dad frowned but said nothing. Mom's lips pressed so tightly they went white. I kept my voice steady 5 years, over $92,000 of my money, every payment documented, every request recorded, every lie logged. Megan tried to interrupt, but I talked over her. "And before you say, it's not about the money, you're right. It's about the fact that you've built your lives on the assumption I would always pick up the tab, even for your luxuries." Then I dropped the final folder into the shared screen. Forged documents. Scans of loan applications with my name printed neatly on the signature line, a handwriting match that wasn't mine. Loan amount $80,000. Co-signer me, apparently. Beneficiary Megan. I didn't look at her face. I didn't have to. "We're going to talk about this one last," I said, "but not here, with my attorney." I hit leave meeting before anyone could speak. Their frozen faces vanished from the screen, replaced by my own reflection in the black monitor, calm, controlled, and for the first time in years not afraid of what they might do next. They thought that was the end of the trial. It was just the opening statement. The moment the Zoom call ended, I didn't pace. I didn't cry. I opened a new document and began a timeline. Day 1, account closure. Day 3, family discussion. Day 3, 7 a.m., evidence presented. Forged loan revealed. Next step, secure my position before they could spin a single narrative. My first call was to Marcus, an old college friend who now specialized in financial fraud cases. I sent him the scanned documents before he even said hello. 10 minutes later, his email came back, forgeries clear. "You have more than enough to open a case. Question is, do you want to file criminal or civil?" Both, I thought. But out loud I said, "Start civil. Let's make them feel it slow." The thing about my family is they thrive in chaos. Loud phone calls, emotional pleas, manufactured emergencies. What they don't know how to fight is silence. So I gave them silence. While they were calling each other, blaming each other, trying to figure out who leaked the forged loan files, I was making appointments. My bank's fraud division. A real estate attorney to review Megan's lease, the one they wanted me to co-sign. An insurance broker to pull every policy my name was attached to. One by one, I cut those ties too. By Friday, they'd started sending messages not to me but to my coworkers. Megan DM'd my assistant asking if I was in a good mood today and if she could just talk to Leah for 5 minutes about the car. That's when I realized they weren't just panicking about money. They were panicking about access. The forged loan became my anchor point. Marcus drafted the initial demand letter, simple, precise, and surgical. Megan repays the $80,000 within 60 days. All family members sign a no-contact financial agreement. Failure to comply. Full civil and criminal filings. We couriered it to each of them. No email, no text, no just wanted to give you a heads up. The first to respond was Mom with a handwritten note that didn't address the loan at all. Instead it said, "Families don't sue each other. We'll talk when you calm down." That was the last written thing she sent me that didn't go through a lawyer. By the time the weekend was over, Marcus had heard from 2 different attorneys representing them. Both wanted to discuss settlement terms. I let Marcus handle every word. The less they heard my voice, the more they had to face the paper trail, the same way I had for years. And all the while, I wasn't thinking about their panic. I was thinking about the final move, the one that would make sure they never forgot who pulled the last thread holding their lives together. That move came sooner than I thought. The court date for the civil case was set for late August, but I didn't need to wait for a judgment to end this. I had something better timing. In early July, Megan's lease renewal came up. I knew because her landlord's office had accidentally CC'd me months ago when she first moved in, probably a leftover from when my name was on everything. I called the landlord, calm, cordial, and very clear. Just letting you know I am not a co-signer on that lease. My name was used without my consent. If you keep it active, you'll be tied to an ongoing fraud case. I heard him exhale through his teeth. Understood. We'll handle it. 2 weeks later, Megan was served a notice to vacate. Dad tried to step in until he learned that the house he and Mom lived in was still technically in my name, from a refinancing deal I'd helped them with 3 years back. They'd never transferred it out because it was too much paperwork. Marcus drafted a notice for them to vacate in 60 days or buy the property outright. Cash only, they didn't have it. The day they moved out, I drove past but didn't stop. The blinds were half closed, and Dad was wrestling with a couch in the driveway. Mom stood next to a stack of boxes staring at the lawn, like she couldn't quite process the fact that it wasn't hers anymore. I didn't wave. I didn't roll down the window. I just kept driving. The civil case settled quietly in my favor. Megan signed over her car, emptied her savings, and agreed to a payment plan for the rest. The forged loan was nullified, and her credit tanked so fast she wouldn't be able to lease another apartment without a co-signer for years. They didn't ask me. By the time September rolled around, I'd moved into a new condo with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the lake. No family portraits on the wall, no group chat notifications, no unpaid emergency bills waiting in my inbox. One evening, I was making tea when my phone buzzed a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. It was Megan. Her voice was thin, almost a whisper. You didn't have to go this far. I set the phone down on the counter, let the kettle whistle, and poured my tea. She was wrong. I hadn't gone far at all. I'd just stopped walking toward them. If you've ever been the responsible one who carried everyone until there was nothing left for yourself, you know this story. Tell me in the comments what was your moment when you finally said enough. And if you want more real stories of quiet revenge and freedom, without conditions, make sure to subscribe. We have plenty more to tell.